Okay, welcome back. So we discussed about how to create data sources, what is impersonation and different types of impersonation you can provide, and how to select or how to filter the tables in the data source view. Now in this session we are going to discuss about the different properties we have in the data source view, which is very critical and important. Why? Because if you design the data source view properly, that means half of the work is done. You will come to know why I'm saying the half of the work is done if you define the data source view properly in coming sessions. Now let's start with the properties. So as I showed you in the last session, you will find properties in all the places wherever you right click. This is an empty area. If I right click, I got some properties here. And this is a table. I got new set of properties, and this is a column. I got new set of properties. So let's see one by one. And after finishing this, we can jump into schema types that are available in SQL Server or SSAS part. Okay, first start with this set of properties. Let's start with the first one, new named query. What is the use of new named query? The shortest definition for this one is new named query is nothing but the view in the database. What a view will do in database. Using view you can join multiple tables, you can filter columns, you can filter rows. View is nothing but a valid select statement in SQL Server. If you have any valid select statement, that means you can create a view with that select statement. In the same way, using this named query, what you can do is you can filter columns, you can filter rows, or you can join couple of tables. Any valid select statement which returns a value, value is can be used as a named query. So let's see how to create this named query. Remember, if anyone asks you what is named query, just reply saying that named query is nothing but view at data source view level. Creating view at data source view level. Creating view in database is different, and creating view at data source view is different. So database one we call it as views, and data source view one where when whatever we are creating here is we call it as named queries. So what we will do as part of the view definition. Let me write the view definition first. In database, how it looks. Create view name. You'll give some view name. Let's say test. As you will write the select statement like select blah 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 blah, some select statement. So this is the view definition. There are two things you have to provide while creating the view. One is name and the second one is select statement. Let's see then about the named query here. First it is asking for name. Let me give it as test, and there is some empty area here and columns, and you can select the columns and all. You don't need to worry about this. If you know the select statement, you can simply write it here. Select star from dim product. So I can provide any view. It can be direct pulling of a table. Okay. Now if I click on OK, this is a named query. I created a view using the table dim product. Now I'm going back and I'm removing some columns. That means I'm filtering some columns. If I click on OK, the columns are removed from here. So in short, creating a view at a data source view level is called as named query. If I click on OK, you can see only one column is present, that is status. That is what I selected as part of the view. So this empty area, what this one will do is whatever the table you select, that one will be added here. And if you want to add more tables, you can select this, or you can write it here, inner join dim product subcategory on dim product dot subcategory is something something. A big query will come. So if you write some query here, then the same impact will be shown at this point of. So before going to discuss more about this named query, Let me prepare a query which I can use again and again. Okay, so let me connect to the database. I'll connect to AdventureWorks. Select star from dim product. I am aliasing it as a inner join dim product subcategory. I am aliasing it as B on a dot product subcategory key is equal to B dot product subcategory. So this is why I told you to practice about joins a lot. We are going to use a lot of joins here. So if you execute this, it is joining two tables and returning the data. And if you want to filter any columns, you can simply specify a dot product name I want and B dot category name. So I just want to pull these two columns. Then this is a valid select statement. I can create a view with this. So instead of creating a view, I'm selecting the valid select. I'm copying the same into this query window. If I click on OK, you can see a named query is created with those two columns. And you can see those two tables are taken here and the relationship is given here. Okay. Now, the points you have to remember whenever we are discussing about named query is, it is nothing but a view we are creating at data source view level. And the next thing is, whatever this valid select statement, you can provide it as part of the named query. Now I can remove this join. If I don't want, I can remove this join. And I have to remove the second table column. This is a valid select statement and this one will form a named query. Let me go back and create the named query with the old one. So this is created and let me create a view in the database for the same. Create view. I'm giving name as test as I've created the view. From now onwards, I can refer with the name of the view, that is select star from test. This one will return whatever the query that I have provided here. You can see those two columns are returning. Now I created a view in the database and I created a named query in the data source view. Now let me add that view I have created. So this is the one I have created. Let me add it in and click on OK. Now you can compare. So these two are one and the same. The only difference is the icon to represent the view is this one, whereas the icon to represent the named query is this one. Why you have to go for this named query option when you can do the same by creating a view in the database? This is the question that most of the students ask me. Sir, I can create a view in the database and I can refer it. I can use it in the data source view. But why I have to go for the option new named query? The only reason I can say to them is, most of the clients don't give access to create views in the database. What they will say is, don't create anything, just use the data. Just only use the select statements. They won't give permission to create a view in the database. If I execute by writing this in the production database, that is client's database, it will throw error saying that, man, you don't have access to create a view. In that case, what I can do? I don't have any other option apart from going for new named query if I want to create it, right? If I want to join two tables or join 3 to 4 tables and filter some columns and rows, I have only one option. If I don't have access in the database to create views, then the only option that is left with me is new named query. So this is about new named query. This is how you can differentiate the named query and the view and the table. This is the table icon. And one more advantage of having this named query is, if you create a named query, I create a named query called test here. Let me name it as testing. Okay, why? Because already a view with the name test is created. Now I created a named query called testing. This is nothing but a view, but in data source view level. If I call this testing here, it will say that the object is not available. That means whatever the named queries that you are creating will be up to only this layer. It won't go and apply in the data source, uh, whatever the database that is pointing in the data source. So the advantage of this one is the major advantage of this one is there will be no change. Whatever the changes you are doing here, whatever the changes you are making here, these changes will not be applied to the underlying database. Underlying database is nothing but the one which you selected in the data source. So this is about the named queries, and there is a lot to know about the named queries. We will revisit it once again. Why? Because this is very important feature provided by Microsoft in SSIS. Now let's go to the next one. Add or remove tables. This option is used to either add or remove a table from the data source view. That means from here, whatever the tables you selected, by mistake you selected this view. How can you do that? If you can directly delete it, or you can go to this option, add or remove tables. It will open the same page what it has opened when we started creating our first data source view. When we were creating the data source view, it has shown this page. I hope you remember this page. We discussed about this in last session. So where you can add or remove the tables. So here what you can do, if you feel that you have added this table by mistake, just remove it. And if you feel that you missed this table, add it and click on OK. The changes will be applied. So this add or remove tables will give the flexibility to you, to the developer, to change the tables that are selected at the time of creating the data source view. So once the data source view is created, it should not be the final one, right? There will be so many changes happening. Some tables will get added, some tables will get removed from the data source view, which you don't need as part of your analysis. So in that case, you can go for add or remove tables option to either add a new ones or remove the existing ones from the data source view. Fine, this is fine. Up to here it is cool. Let me go and highlight the page. You can see there is an arrow marks here at the bottom. This one you can use to navigate to the tables. You have to press that button and you have to keep that pressed. This page will be open, this pop-up, and wherever you move the mouse, it will be highlighting that part. So this will be helpful to go through all the tables, all the data source view, what are all the tables present and so on. So fine. The next option is new relationship. What is a relationship? Relationship is nothing but foreign key relationship in database. For example, you created this table, right? Sorry, you created this named query and you selected product key here, and you have all the product key, English product name and English product subcategory name. Now let me add this. You have to give the relationship. The relationship is not set between the fact table and this one. That means the foreign key relationship. You know, this is the master table. This one is having master data. So you can set the foreign key relationship. Or sometimes people, they delete it by mistake. So in this case, you have to provide the relationship between these two tables. So how to provide the relationships? Using the new relationship option. You can see this relationship option here and even here on top where my mouse is highlighting, and also on table you can find the new relationship, and also on a column you can find the new relationship. All are one and the same. Wherever you click, there will be only slight difference. Apart from that, everything is same. Let me explain you what is the slight difference and how to give the relationships. Now I have intentionally removed the relationship between DIM product and the fact internet sales. Now let me show you how to give relationships between these two. In SQL Server, most of the guys, while designing the database, they will give the relationships like this. As you are seeing, DIM customer and fact internet sales are related. Now DIM time and fact internet sales are related. So they will give, but let's assume you are working on Teradata. Teradata guys, they don't give relationship. I don't think they don't, I think they don't have foreign key concepts in Teradata. I'm not sure about it. I think, okay. So in that case, you have to provide the relationships in the data source view. No other option for you, right? So now let me explain how to give the relationship. If you right click and click on this option, it will open what is your primary table, that is source table, and what is your destination table. You can see source table is foreign key table and destination is primary key table. As per the SQL Server concepts, what will be the primary key table? It's always master table. What is the foreign key table? Always transaction table. The example is employee is the master table, that is primary key table, whereas leave details is the foreign key table, and that is the transaction table. Now what is the transaction table here? The transaction table is fact internet sales. And what is the column that is common in with the dim product? That is product key is the common column. Now what is the master column? Sorry, master table, that is dim product, and this one is product key. And if you click on OK, the relationship is set. So what you are doing? You are doing nothing. You are selecting what is the source table, that is foreign key table, and what is the master table and the common column between these two. So this is how you can set the relationships. Now what is the difference if I select here? Instead of selecting in the empty pane, what is the difference if I select here? If I select here, by default the source will be selected. The same table will be selected. Whatever the table on which you will select this. For example, on dim time, I am selecting the new relationship option. You can see the source is set to dim time. If I click on dim currency, by default it will take the dim currency as the source. So what it is doing is it is reducing one step to me. If I do it here, nothing will be selected. Both the default first table will be, what is the first table in the list will be selected here, and the same with the destination. But the one step, that is of selecting the source, will be reduced if you select the new relationship option that is present on the table. So in my case, this is the table. I have to set the relationship. The source is selected, and what is the column? The column is product key. And what is the primary key table here? The primary key table is the testing one, whatever I have created, and the same column is present in the product key, and the same column is present in the destination table, that is testing. The name is product key and it is selected, and you can see a relationship is set between these two. So this is how you can set the relationships using new relationship option. It is simple, creating the foreign key relationship between transaction table and the master table. So let me delete it, and now let me show you the third option. On right clicking of column, you can see the new relationship. The advantage is the source table will be selected and the column also will get selected. So it is going to reduce two steps to you, and you just need to select the destination, that is testing here in our case. You select it, the relationship will be set. So this is one place, this is one way of setting the relationship where the number of steps will be reduced for you. And one more way of creating the relationship is simply select this column, drag and drop on the column. That's it, the relationship will be set. Okay, and you can drag and drop here from here to here. Sorry, this is reverse case, this is wrong case. You can see the relationship is currently between a primary key and a non-primary key column. Is it okay or not? This is a wrong case, so you can reverse it. This button is to reverse the set. That means this was source taken and this was destination taken, and if you reverse it, it is correct one, so it will be set. And always remember, a blind mark, the arrow mark should be always at the master table end. Foreign key relationship, how many of you still remember the foreign key relationship? So foreign key relationship, always it flows from transaction table to master table, right? I think you don't remember this. Let me explain you that. Create table employee. I'm adding only one column, employee ID integer. I'm taking it as primary key. So the table will be created. Now the second table I am creating. What is the master table here? The master table is employee, where I will have employee related stuff. So this leave details is a transaction table. Why? Because it will have only transaction information. So here what I'm gonna do, foreign key references, I'm gonna give master table, that is employee, and the column. What is the column of that? Employee ID. So this is how you define the foreign key in database. This is not int, this is int. Okay. The transaction table column will be referred to the master table column. In the same way, this is the transaction table column that will be referring to the master table column. Here you can see this is how. And even if you double click this relationship, you can see it's clearly given. The source is foreign key table. What is the foreign key table? The one which is having foreign key references is foreign key. That is your transaction table. The destination is primary key table, where you are having the primary key. This is the place where you are having the primary key, and hence this is your primary key table. So this is how always it flows from transaction table to master table. That is why it is from here to here. Okay, let's say now this relationship is not present in the database. Let's assume that this is not defined in your database. What will happen if you give the relationship here, from here to here? If you give the relationship here, this one will be sticked only until this data source view. It won't go and apply the same in the database level. That is the fantastic advantage we have. Whatever the changes we are making to the tables or we are making to these relationships, it will not impact the underlying database. The underlying database will be as is. Whatever it is given by the clients or whoever it may be, the same will remain till the end, even after completing the SSAS project. Okay, now let's go to the fourth option. What is show friendly names? Most of the cases people will have awkward names, like you can see the table name. This one is fact internet sales, in bracket the schema name, that is DBO. Okay, fact internet sales in bracket DBO. Now if I select the show friendly names, it will show only the friendly name. It won't give the awkward full name. Where you can set the friendly names. Let me explain you that. For every table, if you go to the properties, there is an option called friendly name. If you don't want to show this fact internet sales, instead of that you want to give the name as sales, then the friendly name will be shown as sales, which will be giving proper meaning to the next developer, the developer who is gonna work on the same. If you uncheck this, it will show the full name, the original name that is present in the database, that is taken from the database. If you select this, it will show the friendly names. This is for the benefit of developers who are working on it. Dim customer, it doesn't looks good, so I can make it as customers, right? So you can see this is customers. But if you want to know what is the exact table name in the database, uncheck this, it will give you the exact database name. So this is about the data, the option friendly names. So let me check this. I want to show friendly names. Now select all. I don't need to explain about this option. Why? Because select all will select everything. And once selected, you can move everything like this. Okay, or you can delete everything by selecting the delete option, delete button. The next one is find table. You can find the same option here too. On top you can see here find table. What this find table will do is, even if you click here or click there, it will open this window. What it is gonna do here is, if you select any table, it will take you the that particular table will be highlighted. Now you can see I selected dim product and this table is highlighted. Now I'm gonna click on testing view, data source view. This is highlighted. So this one will be useful when you have lot hell of tables. Let me add all the tables to demonstrate the same, the use of the what is that, find table option. Now there are so many tables, you don't know where which one is present, but your intention is to go to dim product table. You can see it has taken you to the dim product table. Now if you arrange everything, if you go, you don't know where the table is. Let's say the dim sales reason you want to see this table. If you select this, it will take you to the particular table. This is the advantage. You can achieve the same by clicking here. If you click here, it will take you to the particular table. Okay, now let me use this option to remove the tables. I don't want all this stuff. Let me add only fact internet sales. Add related tables, and I don't want this table. Fine. Okay, so I've added so many tables and it arranged in a pretty awkward manner, right? The look and feel is not good. So the next option we're going to discuss about is arrange tables, which will arrange the tables in the best way possible. Now see, I clicked on arrange tables. It arranged in the top best way that it can arrange, right? If I set it here, this is not good. This has overlap. So arrange tables will arrange everything in a manner. So let me demonstrate by having all the tables here again. This is not a proper arrangement. You can see everything overlapped here, and this is not properly arranged. Let me select the option arrange tables, and now you can see the better way. Nothing overlapped much, and all the unrelated tables are on top. So this is the use of arrange tables option. Let me take this out, and let me take internet sales. I don't want the second one, and let me add all the tables. I don't want this. Fine. Now I am arranging it again. So the next option we are going to discuss about is layout. Few people are familiar to work with diagonal layout. So diagonal layout is just like this, diagonal shaping. So if for those people, if they want to design it into diagonal layout, they can go with this option, or immediately you can see this option has changed to switch to rectangle layout. So these guys has provided two layouts for us to work based on your convenient, so that one is rectangular and another one is diagonal. So you can switch between these two layouts. Okay, the next option is refresh option, and before going to that, let's cover this zoom. Zoom is nothing but zooming the tables. The very good option here is 2 feet. If you select the option 2 feet, how many tables you have, it won't bother. It will decrease the size of the one and it will fit everything in the page. You can see no scroll bars here, right? Everything is fit into the page. I'll show you by adding all the tables how it looks, how it fits everything. So let me arrange it. Sorry, I selected the wrong option. Arrange tables, and now selecting the option 2 feet. You can see there is no scroll bars. Everything is set in one page. The size is pretty small, but no other go. It cannot fit with the same size, right, in the page. So this is the option zoom if you want to use. If you select 200%, it will be 200%. And properties, it will have nothing just apart from retrieving relationship, or these are not the mandatory, important properties to remember, to know. Okay. So let me go back and remove a couple of tables that I don't want. Fact internet sales, add related tables. Fine. Now let me zoom it back to 75%, the normal one, and let me arrange the tables. So now we have seen almost all the options that are available here. Okay. So we discussed about all the options except the refresh option. Why this refresh option? And this refresh option plays a major role in real-time projects. What this refresh option is gonna do? If I click on this refresh option, it is saying nothing is done, nothing is there. So uh, it is not providing anything to me. What is this option for and what it will do? Let's discuss about the same now. So if I click on this refresh, this button, what it will do is it will take all the tables that you selected here. What are the tables you selected from the database? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. These 7 tables you have taken from the database. It will take all these 7 tables and it will compare with the database whether there is any structural changes. Structural changes means adding a column, removing a column, adding new relationship, removing new relationship, something like that. So it will check for all the structural changes, and if there is anything, it will bring it to your notice. Let me demonstrate an example here. Dim product is a table. Let me add a table column for that. Alter table dim product add. I'm adding a column name called test with the data type integer. This is how you can add a column. So a column is added. Now, how to get the column test that is added in the database to this particular one? One option is remove this table and add it back. You will get that column, but that is not suggestible. Why? I will explain in a couple of minutes. The best option is click refresh. Refresh, as I told you, it will take all the tables to the database and it will check whether there is any changes and it will present the changes to you. So it is saying that object dim product, a test column is added. Right, this is what we have done. If I click on OK, the test will be taken into consideration and will be added to the table. And now let me drop the column. Alter table dim product drop column test. So I dropped the column from the table. Now if I click on refresh, it will say this is the object, the change is deleted. If I click on OK, the change is gone. So what the refresh will do? Refresh will take all the tables that you have selected in the data source view and it will go back to the database and it will compare whether there is any changes and it will apply the same changes to the database, to the front end part. Let me demonstrate one more example. I'm deleting the relationships, right? I'm deleting these 3 relationships here and a couple of relationships from different things. So now if these tables are taken to the database and compare, obviously it will come to know that the relationships are missing which are present in the database, right? So if I click on refresh, it will pull that or the information. This is one relationship, this is one relationship, these are 3 and this is 1. These are missing in the data source view. If I click on OK, everything will be added. So this is the use of refresh button. Refresh button will make sure that the database tables and the same tables that you are selected here are in synchronization. Both should have same structure, same relationships and everything same. So that is the use of data source view. Now I told you, let me go back and add the column here. I can achieve the same by deleting this column, okay, and adding it back. Let me add the dim product. Click on OK. You can see the test column is added. I can do this way instead of going for refresh option. So why this is not suggestible and why refresh is suggestible? This is a very important interview question. Why you cannot delete and add the table back so that all the changes will come into picture? People may ask you like this. So the reason is, if I add a table and if I create a dimension using the table, not only dimension, anything, any next objects, in any other objects, if I use this table, okay, Let me add one simple dimension to demonstrate the same. So dim product I will take. Next, I've created a dimension here by using the table dim product from the data source view. Now if I delete it, it is, you can see that the dimension attribute so and so will no longer be available, no longer be valid. It is showing so many things, and if you are here, you can see everything is showing in red. That means the relationship is removed. The link between this table and this one is removed. Now let me add the table back. I've added the table, and here you can see this is coming into picture, but most of the objects, okay, most of the objects that you are going to create by using the table will not be in the same state if you delete the table and add it back. So it is very, very, very risky. I will show you a couple of objects in future when we discuss about those. If you remove the table here, the relationship will be gone from that cube. So it will have a huge impact. So that is why people don't prefer to delete the table to get the changes. If they want to get the changes, the only way what they will do is by using the refresh option. If you see now, this table is test column is there. I am clicking on refresh, which I have deleted in the database, and it is gone. Now you can see the test will be no longer exist, so you can simply delete it. So this is how you can make use of the refresh option to pull all the structural changes that are done in the database level. This is a very important option and very frequently used one if you are working in real-time projects while developing the project. Very frequently, whenever the requirement change needs a new table or needs a new column in the database or in the tables, then you have to go for this refresh option to pull all the structural changes into your data source view. And one point to remember here is the disadvantage. I can call it as disadvantage in the refresh used by using the in using the refresh option. The disadvantage is, let's say I'm adding a column to the table dim product and also to the table dim product subcategory. I've added columns to two tables. Okay, now if I click on refresh, what it is going to do is it is going to pull both the changes that are done. Oops, subcategory is not there. Let me add for dim time then. The table, the subcategory is not used in the data source view. That's why it is not pulling. So dim time. Let me click on refresh now. It is getting both the changes. This table, this column is added. This table, this column is added. Here, either I can select OK or click on cancel. That means either get all the changes or either get all the changes or ignore all the changes. You cannot select one change and click on OK. It's like all the changes or none of the change. Now you can see this test is added here, and the product table, you can see the test is added. So this is the disadvantage I feel. If I make some changes to 2 to 3 tables and in my analysis services I just want to pull only one change, I cannot do that. The only way I can do that is delete the table and add it back. So that is not suggestible. So make sure you don't if you don't want any change in your analysis services, don't make it here. This is about the different options we have in the right click of the empty space in the data source view. Now this is the table I have taken from database. This is the named key column. You can see this is the key column. I cannot delete the logical primary key of the table. Okay, I cannot delete the logical primary key. Okay, before going to more into the details, let's discuss about the different options first. On right clicking of the table, you are getting 6 options. One is named calculation, new relation, replace table with something else, delete table from data source view, explore data and properties. Here on right clicking of the named query, you are getting the same, okay, One thing is missing is new named calculation. One thing is extra is edit named query, right? So let's go with the table options first. New named calculation. New named calculation is used to create a new column based on existing or based on some hard-coded values. That means you can create alias columns. Let me take this table and add a new column. I'm naming this column as best and I'm giving the value as 1. Just hard coding some value. You can see the calculator symbol here for the column best. That means it is calculated column. Okay. Now let me explore the data and see what I'm getting for the best. So the best will be giving the hard-coded value 1 whatever I have given. You can see for every row it is showing the value 1. And now I'm going here and creating one more named calculation, testing, and here the value is getDate. GetDate is a function which gets the system date and time. One more column is added, and if I explore the data, it will show the data. And if you go to the last column, it is the date, whatever the system current date and time. So this named column is nothing but creating an extra column based on either existing columns or some hard-coded values. How to create by using existing columns? New named calculation. Next one is besting, some dummy name. Don't take the name seriously. I'm giving the existing column English product name plus I'm concatenating some hard-coded text. Is a good product. Okay, this is the column name plus I'm concatenating some string. So this plus is to concatenate, that means to attach two strings, and is a good product is the string I want to attach. Now if you explore the data here, you can see if you go to the end, it will have the product name and the concatenation part whatever I have specified, that is a, let me hide it so that we can see the complete one. Adjustable race is the product name, is a good product. For everything you can see it is hard coded. So in the same way you can concatenate two columns however you want, you can play. Best example for this one, if you want to calculate, let's say the sales, okay, you will have so many columns, sales, profit is sales amount minus cost price, something is there, right, some formula. Let's say tax amount. I think tax amount column is not there. I think it is tax AMT. Let me try. Yeah, true. So let's see by exploring the data. Here you can see for the first one, the cost amount, the total sales, right? Sales amount. Where is the sales amount column? It is 3399 point something and the tax amount is 271 rupees. So now the profit is this minus that is the formula what I have given, and it is showing perfectly. So this is how, if you want to have some columns which will be executed as part of your table, you can have that by using new named calculation. New named calculation is used to create a calculated column. Okay, you cannot have the same here for the named query. This is disabled. Why? Named query itself is a view. It is a query. You can edit it always and you can write the formula here. I'm adding the get date column. What I've done there as test. I'm adding the get date column. There I've used named calculation. Here I've just edited the query and added one more column. This is my query, my column. So I can have whatever I want, right? I wish to. So that is why this option is disabled. Why? Because anytime I can edit the query and I can add one comma and add the new alias column. Okay. This is why the option is not provided for the named queries, and this is why the edit option is provided for the named queries. If you explore the data and see, you can see that get date column is the test column is getting the get date. So this is the about the first option, new named calculation. In simple, what it is going to do is it is going to create a calculated columns for the tables and the views, but not for the named queries. The next one is well known to you, that is new relationship. And the third one, this is very important one, replace table with named query or another table. For example, take dim product. By mistake you added this table instead of adding some other table. Then go here and select this. I'll tell you a scenario where you will need this. Let's say I have a dim product table. Okay, I have one more table. Select star into underscore test from. I hope you guys remember this query. What it will do, it will create the structure and it will load the data into the table. Now your intention is to use dim product underscore test, but the guys by mistake added dim product. So what you can do, instead of deleting and adding it back, go here, replace with another table and select the table whatever you want to be replaced. You want to replace, right? I want to replace with the dim product test. Now the table should be replaced with the dim product test. 1 second. I don't know whether I have selected it properly or not. Where is the dim product? 1 second. Oops, I think it has replaced. See, it has replaced with dim product underscore test. So this one will help us in replacing the existing table with any other backup table or backup table with the main table. So without deleting and adding it back. And replace table with named query. Why you need this option? Let's say you have 20 columns here, right? 20 to 30 columns. You don't need all these columns. You cannot delete the column. You can see there is no delete option for the column. You cannot delete any column from a table or view. Okay. So what you can do, how you can delete a column from a table is you first you have to replace it with a named query and uncheck all the columns that you don't want to have. Let's say you don't want to have product alternate key, subcategory key, something. You can simply uncheck all the stuff that you don't want to have, which means the column is deleted from the table. But to delete the same, first you have to convert it into the named query, and then only you can do the stuff like deleting the column names. Okay, it has taken the wrong alias names for each and every one as expression 1 blah blah blah. So that's why it is showing expression 1 column name instead of this one. So ignore about that. So this is how. Let me show you an example for this. Dim currency. I don't want currency alternate key in my table. So I cannot delete it directly. What I can do is I can replace it with this column and remove the column that I don't want and click on OK. This one will give you this one will be converted to the named query, and here always you can see this edit named query option will be enabled, and you can always add the column or delete the column or add some alias columns like 1 as test. So a new column will be added which will have the value 1, which you can see by exploring the data. You can see the 1, right? So this is the option replace table with. And delete table from data source view, it is not going to do anything except deleting the table from data source view. Fine, delete it. I don't want this anymore and I have deleted it. And I don't want this dimension too. Let me delete it. And the next option, explore data, you are very familiar with. If you want to see the sample data, the first 2000 records or so will be listed. You can see the sample data. Explore data option is meant for that. And properties, nothing. You can provide some description for each table. If you right click on the named query, you will get similar options except the edit named query, the option to add or remove new columns or existing columns. Replace table with, you cannot replace with another query. Why? It's simple. Go edit and replace it, man. Why you need to have that option again there? It's already a named query, right? So that's why that option is not enabled. And delete table from data source view is nothing but deleting the table from the data source view, and explore data option is the same again for the named queries. Now let me show you one funny thing. Here in a named query you can delete the logical primary key and you can set a different primary key as logical primary key, that is your primary key, or you can have 3 to 4 columns as primary key, you can set like that. But in a table you cannot set or you cannot delete it, right? For example, if you want to change the primary key from customer key to geography key for this table, the only option is first replace it with the named query, done, and then make this one as, if you right click you can see this option is enabled, you can set this as primary key. Remember this point, this is very important. If you want to change the primary key, it has to be named query, it should not be table or view. And what are the different options available here? New named query, fine, this is same, explore data is same, and there is nothing else to discuss here except for a table, as I told you, you can add columns, that is named columns, and for this column alone you will get one more extra property, that is two properties, that is delete column if you don't want, or edit named calculation if you want to add some make some change to the existing column definition. So this is about different properties that are available here, okay, in this data source views, okay. And while adding the data source view, I showed you an example. I skipped one part. I didn't explain you in last session. Why? Because it was not the right time to explain. That option is the advanced editor. So this advanced editor will help you to restrict the schema. What is schema here? If you go to the database, you can see all the tables are having a schema called DBO. If you don't provide anything, then the default schema will be taken as DBO. If you select create table test, I'm giving it as employee ID integer, that's it. This is the table structure. Sorry, I want to create. If I create this, there is already an object, sorry, test1 I will go with. If I create this, the object is created, and if you see the same in the database here, the schema will be taken as DBO. If you don't specify anything here, it will be taken as DBO schema. If you select you can specify some schema names, like first you have to create the schema and you can call that schemas here. Employee, let's say you created a schema, and if you can use the schema here, and if you select this, the table will be employee.test2. okay, I will explain you about how to create the schemas and all in advanced concepts whenever we discuss about SQL Server. Keep in mind, if you can have different schemas, not only DBO, the default schema. DBO means database objects, that is the default one if you don't specify anything. But if you create any schema, for that you can add a number of tables, so the schema will be a new one apart from the DBO. So here if you give DBO, what it will do is it will filter only DBO objects. Okay, let's say if I am filtering here employee schema, I don't have that schema, to be frank. Let's say I am filtering. That means I am asking the server pull only the tables which is having employee schema. So it will list only employee schema tables. There is no table now with that schema, so it is not showing anything. So this is the advantage of using the option advanced editor. Okay, so this is about the data source view, different options we have and different properties. We discussed about almost all the properties, and I hope I covered everything. The couple of things we need to discuss is the schemas, database schemas, and star schema and snowflake schema in the data source views, and what is the dimension tables and the fact tables. We are going to discuss about all these concepts in tomorrow's session, which is the heart of the remaining objects. The remaining objects like dimensions, fact tables, which you are gonna design while creating cube, are completely dependent on identifying what is master table and what is transaction table. In other words, what is fact table and what is dimension table. If you fail to identify, then you are out of the job. The cube you are going to design is not a good one if you fail to identify the objects. So that's it for today, and we're going to start fresh about all those concepts in tomorrow's session, and we're going to discuss about how to create dimensions in next class. Thank you.